You are being programmed.
There is a lot of divided opinions on what this is. The accepted theory is that it's an ancient light bulb. It's actually known as the Dendera light bulb. And you can see why, can't you? They've recreated it and it does look like an ancient light bulb. But I looked closer and I wasn't ready for what I found. Throw away any misconceptions and look at the evidence I'll be putting forward. I found this comment online and it states, "It makes no sense to depict an oversized light bulb in an underground crypt. Were there no further indications that demonstrate the use of a light bulbs or electricity in this specific area or at any other excavations or pyramids that we found? It's only in Dendera." So I'll leave that up to you. Now I'll be showing you the other evidence to see what you guys think about that. Most people don't look at the temple site itself. And you have to ask yourself, why not? If you do not ask the right questions, you do not get the right answers. Dendera is a fertility temple. Dedicated to Hathor, god of fertility, music and pleasure, and so many things. But they're the main ones. So why is Bes, an Egyptian god of childbirth, fertility, sexuality, humour and war, protecting the temple? But primarily he served as a protector god of pregnant women and children. Here's some images of Bes now. Here's Bes above Hathor's head, and what's funny is that Bes is one of the only gods who face forward. Bes, Hathor are tied to fertility. The temple is a fertility temple. So you gotta ask yourself, then why is a light bulb there? Isn't it more likely to be something connected to fertility? I believe it's an incubator. Let's look at this lady in a very pivotal position. It looks like she's holding the bulb up, but I think two things, probably more, but I didn't want to type that. She's either giving birth or she's ready to receive and become her host. Now what you're seeing in the screen now is the arms raised. It's a traditional way of giving birth. So as you can see, it's what the lady is doing. Or it's to accept, receive and become a host. The only difference is the lady isn't being held up. She's on her own. As you can see, them two depictions that I've just shown, similar position. Add to this, she's sitting on what could be a birthing brick. It's tradition in around this region to give birth on bricks. The hieroglyph meaning to give birth depicts a squatting position and the use of a birthing stool or a birthing bricks. As you can see, it's just a depiction of a woman giving birth on bricks. So it could be that. But that doesn't look like a baby in an incubator. So could it be a depiction of sperm? And here's an image of sperm. It could be that. It could be sperm, but for a couple of huge things. When did a light bulb or sperm have eyes and gills? You're probably going, wait, what? Let's zoom in and have a look. Just tell me what you see. No misconceptions. Just tell me what you see. And I'll zoom in and then I'll take a picture. There you go. What do you see? To me, that is an eye. These look like gills. And it isn't an anomaly. We're zooming in again on a different one. Tell me what you see. I'll take a picture again, and when it's zoomed in, not as crisp, but you can still see an eye and what looks like a mouth. Notice the lotus flower effect connection to the incubators. Would you like to see one without the glass incubator? So there you go, lotus flower and whatever is coming out of the lotus flower. You can quite see both the same. Let's have a quick look. Let's zoom in at one without the glass and let's see what we can see. Again guys, just tell me what you see. I know what I see. Eyes, mouth and scales. Please tell me I'm wrong. If this is supposed to be a light bulb and that's supposed to be the filament, it awfully looks like a snake, a parasite to me. As we know, lotus flower is tied to creation. It's not like there's more. These are all found in Dendera Temple. More snakes, more reptiles, reptilians, parasites, whatever you want to call them, but they're all found in Dendera Temple, the fertility temple. So you're in Dendera and you switch on the light bulb and you bring your knives. I mean, you always bring knives to a light bulb party, right? And there you go, big knives or scalpels. You're in a fertility clinic, remember? We'll forget that it looks like a reptilian and Thulsa Doom from Conan. And here's an image, and if you're old enough you'll know what I'm talking about. Just look at the image. Strikingly similar. Strikingly so. In my opinion, it's ritual based. It's cutting the cord, or it's a C-section to allow a parasite access. Sounds crazy, but you just have to look at what you're seeing. Or could it be Hecate, a fertility goddess who identifies with Hathor? And as you can see, she's a frog or a reptile. And here's a depiction now. But what are you noticing? What hasn't she got? No, not the knives. Here's another picture too. In another temple. She's missing the tail. It's not the same person. This image is of a reptile standing up with a long tail, 2 knives ready to cut a C-section or the cord of the female that is giving birth or is ready to receive the parasite host. Hathor is known as many things, and she's depicted as many things too. She's known as the divine cow. She sometimes takes the form of a cobra. As you can see here, she's in human form and she has the sun over her head. Here's her as the cow form. But what's interesting to me is, in regard to what I'm showing you today, is that she's also known as the golden snake. That intrigued me. I mean, see this copper snake found in Now's holiest place of Midian shrine at Timna, and it's a close-up of a gilded with gold snake. And this is in Israel. If we've not found it in Egypt, it would have been cool. But this is found in Israel. And I want to show you a few pictures. They had a temple there. But remember this image I showed you before. Now, I want to get an image of one of those gilded snakes and I'm going to ghost it over the top. Tell me, what does it look like? It is nigh on identical, isn't it? So you can see where I'm coming from. I mean, here's a picture of Timna now in Israel. That is the temple reconstruction. And this is what remains today. So it's just very intriguing when you're looking at different ways. And even look at her name, the golden snake, fertility. And I'm going to be talking and bringing up Stargate in a minute, because she does things in that episode that I'm going to refer to in this. But just look at these images for Hathor. If this is supposed to be her as the cow, it's a bad cow. It more looks like Dobby, the house elf. It just doesn't look right. I mean, you have a golden bracelet coming up, and it looks more like Yoda than Hathor. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like, what's going on? It's like, I mean, if these sculptors did and made these, surely they'd have been sacrificed or killed. I mean, you got a couple more coming up now. But what I'll bring up shortly is into science fiction, and especially a program called Stargate, where in reference they use people and Jaffa as hosts to the Goa'uld, and this is what I'm going to be bringing up now. This is Stargate, the original movie, and what I want to talk today is just to correlate and show the similarities between Stargate SG-1, which was the original spin-off series from this. Now in Stargate you have, I'll just say aliens of somewhat. They are called the System Lords. Now they are human vessels like us, but they contain a parasitic entity. In better words, it's like what I'm showing you in Dendera. It's a worm-like species. It's sentient and it controls the human vessel. Now there is an offshoot of the Goa'uld called the Tok'ra, which work hand in hand as a really good, well, not really good, but a symbiotic relationship, give and take. But why I wanted to show you this was because, like I said, I'm going to show you some similarities now coming up, and including Hathor, and I just want to tie in with what I've done so far. And it might sound crazy to a lot of people, but I just look at it as information. I use my own eyes. If something looks like a snake or a reptile or a parasite, then it is. Now, who am I to not say it's not that, or a metaphor, or could it be something else, which it can quite literally be. But there's no harm or foul, as they say, in just theorising on different scenarios, because the more we know, the better the picture is presented in front of us. So to quickly finish off this Stargate little section, this is obviously the system lords, and this is the sigils or the marks that they have on the soldiers. You can see names like Baal, Hathor, Apophis, Kronos. So you can just see the significance of those names and gods. Right, what you've got coming up on the screen now is what's called the gold larva or larvae. And this is basically what I'm referring to in the light bulb. Isn't it a coincidence that the people say TV is showing you the truth hidden in plain sight? Yep, I'm showing you this. Could it be where they got their idea from? Who knows? But this is Hathor. She shows up in series 1 episode 13, and in this episode she actually is able to create the little larvae in a bath and then put them into people. So it just gets you to think, is this what's been grown at the temple? Who knows? It's just a theory, and an outlandish one at that, but it still makes you think. This is the mark that they make on the stomach. She has a device that actually does that. But what if, and I'll show you a little picture now, but this is just a picture of the larva in a gowl coming out. It doesn't actually influence them because they're just there to make them grow a little bit bigger. But what if the knives were actually there to create that mark for the so-called parasite to enter? Just a thought. Now, you remember this, I showed you this before, and how they were using it as a picture with the light bulbs. Now, in an episode of Stargate, they actually did an MRI scan of a jar. Now, yep, you can see it. What difference is that? It's very, very similar, isn't it? And that is just why I wanted to show you this section, just because of the similarities. And there's so much more. And like I said, I didn't want to go too deep into it because I didn't want to turn it into a Stargate show, even though that wouldn't have been that bad. But you know what I mean? You can see the similarities now, especially with Hathor and the temple fertility, and as you can see, the parasites, the Goa'uld, the reptilians, whatever you want to call them, demons, archons. So a funny coincidence, I just laughed and smirked, because as we see the picture on the left with the knives, and I was talking earlier about could they be using that as a C-section. Well, look on the right, that's the temple itself, that's Dendera. Now on the in the picture you have Cleopatra and her son Caesarion. Julius Caesar's son Caesarion sounds rather like Caesarian and a C-section. I just thought, wait, what's the odds of having Cleopatra and Caesarion on the building itself in a fertility clinic? It's like they were doing C-sections in the temple. So that was just, I thought was interesting. And I know it's debatable where the name C-section or Caesarian came from. Some claim it was Julius Caesar, but you've named the son Caesarion, which rather sounds like Caesarian. So I'll leave that up to you guys, but I just found that fascinating, that the C-section, the Caesarian or Caesarian, actually turns up on the building itself on the side with his mother Cleopatra. So Stargate's all about travelling through portals. We have arches, portals, gateways. Now Dendera has the Zodiac. I didn't know this. I believe this has been moved to the Louvre, but you can quite see it's one of the oldest zodiacs to be found anywhere, and here's various images of it. But what's intriguing me is it's even appeared in computer games like Tomb Raider, which a picture of that's coming up. So we're talking about Stargate, the heavens, the stars, everything. Now, in the time of in antiquity, the actual North Star, the Polaris of the time, was Thuban Alpha Draconis, and you can see it here. So this always got to me when I'm looking at this. What does it remind you of? Here's an image of Orion's belt, Sirius, and obviously the pyramids actually zoned in on the Draco constellation. Draco means dragon. So we're talking about serpents, parasites, but just look at Draco now. It does remind you of the snakes in the incubator and what was found in Timna. But Draco constellation is in a S shape, as you can quite see it here. Now, what famous S can you guys remember? Yep, it's Superman. Now, Superman, like the Draconis, can be found in red, white and blue. I didn't know this until I researched this, but you have Superman white, Superman red, Superman blue. So is there any connection there? Now, what if I could tell you that Superman turns into a dragon? You would go, what the flock? I did, and this is just the icing on the cake. But in Action Comics episode 303, yep, the 33, Superman, I believe, eats whatever red kryptonite, and one of the effects that it has is by turning Superman into the monster from Krypton, a huge snake, huge serpent. Is there anything in that? I just don't know, but I found it too fascinating not to include in this video about reptilians, serpents, you know, the Goa'uld, the Stargate, and everything that I'm included. So how about that one? I'm actually blown away with that. It was just like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome. Right guys, thank you for the support. Yep, we swapped over from the Black Sheep to now What the Flock TV. And please, if you enjoy my videos so far, because I'm going to be putting more on, obviously some are new, some are the old, but if you like it, please share it, like it and subscribe. You should be getting it at the bottom then. So onto the video itself, and we're talking about Dendera. We've seen it in the Tartaria groups, Mudflood groups, Free Energy. So people are talking about Dendera light bulb as being antiquitech of a light bulb, and that's always been taken as not fact, but you know what I mean, like law type of thing. It's, you know, no one else really looked into it because it looks like a light bulb, and it does. But when I was researching for a video a few years ago, I came across a closer image of it, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, why has it got an eye in it? Why has it got a gill in it? And then when it came out of the so-called incubator, you can see it. It had scales. And I'm like, why is there people saying this is a snake? And then we'll get people saying, oh, well, it's just metaphoric for the, you know, the filament. There's no need to put an eye on it. So, you know what I mean? I just don't get that argument. I just go off, you know, I'm looking at it, it looks like a snake. Fair enough. Can I find any other links to serpents or snakes or reptilians or archons or whatever we want to call them and label them? Well, yeah, it's a fertility temple. Fertility temple. That makes sense. So are they breeding and bringing humans in to put these things in? Or, like I said in the video, because I like to just cover the bases, could it just be a depiction of sperm? Which it quite could be in another incubator. So it's still antiquitech and then in that time of an incubator. So it's still, whoa. But more you look into it, more that you look around the temple itself, you'll see more snakes, more links. Hathor, known as the golden snake, she had a temple in Israel that and found gold and copper snakes. So you have to think, well, yeah, you have a point there. There's more snakes. Why would a light bulb be in a temple and just that temple and no other temple? It doesn't make sense. But it's been a fertility temple, and me saying, could it be an incubator? That makes perfect sense. They both go together. You have Hathor, obviously the fertility goddess, love, music, and whatever else that she wants to put after her name. And then you have Bez, the guardian of pregnant women. So is this a birthing clinic? Is this a temple where they used to bring humans to be, you know, impregnate? Who knows? It does look that way. But I'm still not one of them who jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, this is fact. I just like leaving it up to you guys to see. Look at the evidence that I've provided something fishy going on. You have a temple, a fertility temple. You have pictures of snakes all around the place. Loads, in fact. And then you have these, what look like light bulbs, could be incubators with snakes in it. I'm back again. I just had to stop it. I had led the marching band again. It's like, why? So crazy. Yeah, so you have to just think of it objectively. Have no preconceptions of what it is. Just look at what you see. And that is what I like to do, especially with this video. Like I said, I covered it a couple of years ago in another video, but I've never done a standalone on it. So I thought, you know what, I've started a new channel, and it just came to me, I'll do a standalone on it. And I think it's turned out really well. It's straight to the point, and it's there to make you think, it has a point, and then you then look into other things yourself. Because it all ties in. You have a temple, a fertility temple. So why would a light bulb be in a fertility temple? It wouldn't. It would be an incubator. Makes sense. But then what's in the incubator? If they'd have put a human, they could easily have drawn a human. Now then you think, well, it could be a sperm. Which it could be a sperm. So then they obviously have the technology to look what a sperm roughly looks like. Or is it what I'm saying? Is it an entity? Is it a parasitic type of being like a Goa'uld? Because when you look at the Stargate, the comparisons are so similar. Obviously the gods, and they're talking of a sentient being controlling people. Now we talk about, you've got the vril behind the eye, and all that, it goes into what reptilians is. Now as soon as you say reptilians, people automatically turn off and switch off, because there are a lot of people out there that are crazy and talk like everyone is it. No, you have to treat every topic with the respect. Some people you don't have to believe, but 10 years ago you wouldn't have believed what you believe now. And the more evidence that you look into, the more things seem plausible. So that's all I say to people. Just don't discount everything. Like me, I've treated this with respect. I've looked at the images. I've looked at the temple and the surroundings. It is a fertility temple, so it wouldn't be a light bulb. And if so, if it's a light bulb in the fertility temple, why is that light bulb not constant everywhere? Why is it just being put in that place? So these are things that you have to ask. Then could it like be a metaphor for the gods, the female reproduction area, the heavens, the constellations? And that's why I included the Draco constellation at the end. Thuban was the North Star in antiquity. So if the star looks like a sperm, a snake, a reptilian, a dragon, like the serpent mound, it's just a similar shape. Could that in fact be, that's what they're actually showing, because of the Dendera zodiac that's in the temple? Or are they just worshipping serpent worship? Because that's why it was so prolific at the time, because the North Star was Thuban in the Alpha Draconis, the dragon. Or is it the reason why they were worshipping the Draconis system? Because of the dragon, serpent, parasitic, whatever, entity being one and the same. Now this is not for me calling people who believe in this, believe in that. I'm just looking at the evidence as a standalone, and I'm looking at the temple, and I just see an incubator with what looks like a parasite, or a vril, or a reptile, a serpent, a reptilian being grown in it. And you can actually see them coming out of the incubator, because I included the other image. Makes sense. You have pictures of like a reptile snake thing behind it. That could be the frog goddess that I included. Could quite be. But the knives, that looks like it's doing a C-section or cutting to allow the entity to be put in. That's all I want these videos to do, to make you think. and just ask questions that sometimes people don't want to ask because they seem crazy. I just, like I said, I treat every topic with respect, and I just look at it as information. That's why all my videos are different, and sometimes I seem to be able to fit them all together in other videos. And then when I saw the constellation as an S, I automatically thought of Superman. Now Superman, they say it represents, the symbol represents hope. That's what they say. The symbol for hope, you know, in Krypton. And obviously they talk about L and, you know, the father and different things like that. But what if these people who worship the serpent, worship the dragon, thought, you know what, we'll hide it in plain sight. That is the dragon, the Draconis, the Draco constellation. Draco constellation is red, white and blue, various binary stars and dwarf stars. That's what they say. So if it's red, white and blue, and then I found out there was red, white and blue Supermen. Is that any coincidence? Is it just matching the Star Spangled Banner? Makes you think. Then finding out that to put together Superman, the S and the dragon in what, I don't know how many episodes it was, but in one comic, 303, he takes red kryptonite and turns into a dragon, a reptilian, whatever you want to call it. He shapeshifts. So that to me is like they're playing everything off to get against each other, and they including it all together. To me, looks like they're representing Draconis system, the Draco constellation. It's just playing as the hurt on my head. Shouldn't have said that because there's none. But you can see my point. So all in all, I believe I've done a good video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. It's something different again. And that's what I want to do. I want to do different videos. I want to push myself just to find links. Because you shouldn't be able to find links between Superman and the Dendera temple. I mean, look at the temple itself. Fertility temple. I talk about C-section. And Cleopatra and her son, Caesarion, are on the building itself. C-section. And I talked to her. That just fits again. Now, people say it's Julius Caesar who come up with the name. But why did he name his son? Or if he name his son that. It's just wow, guys. And I just love digging and finding stuff that makes sense. And it's not 100%. I'm not saying yes. Guys, don't believe anything else anyone else has made. You have to believe mine. It's not. It's just information I found, that I found connections, and that's what I do best. I want you to be able to think differently. Then message me in the comments there, Paul, what about this? And then a light bulb goes off for me. That's what I just love. That give and take, that sharing of ideas, the brainstorming, it's just phenomenal. That's just what I love. So you saw all the connections in the video. The North Star actually being in the dragon system, the serpent, the reptilian again. You then have Dendera, all the snakes in the temple. Hathor, the golden snake. You have, it has to be for me the fertility temple and an incubator, because they did have C-sections in them times for obvious reasons, you know, Julius Caesar and whatnot. They actually talk about it in ancient texts, so they have the facility to cut people open. I just saw the similarities between Stargate straight away, because obviously the Stargate was found in the film and the series in Egypt. They go through it. They then come across the system lords who have sigils or marks on their soldiers' heads. Baal, Kronos, Moloch. So all that, the lowercase or big, whatever you want to call them, gods of this realm who are actually turning to be these system lords, these Goa'uld. So it's like a little reptilian snake thing, and they've been in many various forms. Like the first original Goa'uld actually did look like a full-on reptilian. Was it Unos? Was he called Unos? I can't. It's a while ago since I watched that. So I didn't want to go straight into Stargate and then mention everything in Stargate to turn into a Stargate episode. I just wanted to show you the similarities of what I found, just to, you know, to help the theory that could this Dendera be in fact an ancient incubator. And antiquity, you know, people talk about antiquitech as free power and energy. What other tech did they have? And that is all people can ask when they see different types of evidence, because we all see different things. That's the beauty of it. When I show you a photograph, I will see one thing. Another one of you guys watching now will see another. And I won't see that unless you comment. And then that comment actually makes me go, wow, yeah, I did not see that. See, there's a lot of things I don't see. There's a lot of things you don't see. And that's why if we all get our heads together, you can paint the bigger picture. Because your idea can go on, you know, so that's how we should do. Leave the egos at the door. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to leave it there because I believe I've done a lot of the video and it speaks for itself. And then this thoughts were just to thank everyone for, please follow, you know, thanking you for following me over. And if you do generally love the channel, like it, subscribe, and let's get, you know, get the best chat in YouTube back up to where it was. Right, guys, if you're new, this is the time, the thoughts is just me rambling on a little bit and then just adding to what I've shown you. And you can actually see I'm real, because a lot of people, you don't see the faces. And I just wanted to, you know, say thanks and appreciate it. And remember, always wear a smile, always pay it forward. And please, please comment. If I can answer. On the other account, I couldn't see a lot of the messages that were disappearing. So, thank you for watching the Dendera Mystery, or whatever I decide to call it. The Dendera, it's not a light bulb for me. It's an actual ancient antiquitech incubator. It all makes sense. Even if you add, or you don't believe in Stargate as an inspiration, vice versa. Right, guys, take care and bye-bye.